أعوذ بالله من شر الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله الصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله آل الله وأما بعد رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم إن الحسين مصباح الهدى وسفينة النجاة. Let me begin with translating the hadith just I quoted from the Holy Prophet. He says that Hussein is the guiding light and he is the way to the Jannah, to Najat. It is a safeguard, it is a bridge. He is the bridge to paradise, to Jannah. But when you hear this hadith, you may just listen to hadith and let it go, or you may hint for a single second, try to understand it, why the Prophet is performing this, why the Prophet is emphasizing that Hussein is the guiding light, and how, if this is what we believe, that the Prophet is only tell us the truth, which is absolutely the truth, then how is it that Imam Hussein is the light of guidance? How he can light the darkness and show us the way, the true way, the correct way, how this works, and why Imam Hussein is the performance of the Hidayah. We discussed in several nights in our discussion, in our conversations, that there are two different ways in which we can relate ourselves to Imam Hussein. One was the emotional connection, and I spent the whole 6-7 nights to discuss why is it that the Muslim communities mostly remained in their emotional connection with Imam Hussein alayhi salam, and what is the philosophy behind the only emotional response to Imam Hussein's revolution. And I think we need more of time to discuss the problems and the destructions that the mere emotional response to Imam Hussein's revolution brings to us, and it brought to us actually. Tonight and going forward, I would like to discuss other ways, a different approach to Imam Hussein's revolution. We call it intellectual relationship with Imam Hussein alayhi salam. So let me begin to question that, how intellectual approach works. You may ask this question from the very beginning. What does it mean to relate ourselves intellectually to Imam Hussein alayhi salam and to his great uprising? Because you know already that what does it mean to emotionally be related to Imam Hussein's revolution, because that's what we have in our societies. We see it every day and we practice it and we experience it. But we mostly don't know what is it to be intellectually connected to Imam Hussein's revolution. Does it mean to be at a sort of academic level of intellectual engagement with Imam Hussein? If that is the case, then The only true Muslims are the research centers and universities. Is that right? We will get to answer these questions. But what I wanna sort of give you as a picture of what does it mean to be intellectually engaged with Imam Hussein or with anything, with anyone, is to build a relationship based on questions, not basing a relationship on the pre-made informations that other people give us and we use it. It is not going on the road that is pre-built for us. We make our own road. We constitute our own way of relation to Imam Hussein. We sort of build our own connection and connectivity with Imam Hussein. How? With questions. The basic thing for intellectual activity is to question. To question everything is going to be related to that thing that you are relating yourself. For example, if we deal with Imam Hussein's uprising, we may begin asking why Imam Hussein did this, why he sacrificed his life, why he brought his family with him while he knew the end of the story. Why in a Muslim community people get to the point to brutally kill their Imam? What, in terms of socio-political and cultural environment, was going on in that age of Muslim society that Yazid could come to the point to order the brutal killing of the best of the Muslim society? What was actually going on? It is not a basic thing. It is not a simple thing. In the emotional approach, the mullahs and the clerics, they mostly attempt to simplify things, to make it very simple, very simplified phenomena. They say Yazid did this, Yazid did this, and they have done that. They don't go further down to say why they did it, because there's no enough place for raising why to bring in question in the emotional attachment and an emotional connection. We begin with question when we wanted to relate ourselves intellectually. Why we want to relate ourselves intellectually? Because of the hadith just I mentioned to you. It invites you to think. It invites you actually to think, to bring the function of your intellect into surface, into practice. We have hadiths that praises the one who thinks. تفكر ساعة أفضل من عبادة 60 سنة. I believe that this hadith belongs to Imam Ja'far Sadiq alayhi salam. It says that thinking for 1 hour, it is better than worshipping for 70 years. Thinking for 1 hour. تفكر الساعة أفضل من عبادة 60 سنة. And why Shias do not take this hadith and hadiths like this seriously important for them? I don't know. I guess because of the um, sort of ruling of the emotional movement, the organized mourning. They don't allow this system doesn't allow thinking to get involved. And what we are missing actually in the whole practice of Islam, not only with or dealing with Ashura, but in the whole practice of Islam, is the missing of thinking. What we have actually done as a Muslim is to be emotionally engaged. That is the fate of the whole Muslim society. Is not just when we deal with phenomena like Ashura. Why the whole Muslim society decided or forced to leave the practice of intellect in their dealing with religion. That is something that we need a lot of more time to discuss. We are here to discuss about the relations that we can build with Ashura. So we begin our relationship of intellectual connection with Ashura with questioning. And this questioning helps us to bring the dark side of the story. But by dark side, I don't mean it the bad side, the side that we haven't seen it yet. The one that there's no enough light shed on it. So we shed light on this side that is not light enough, or it's dark. So we bring it into light in order to see it properly, to see it in order to understand it, to make it intelligible, to make it reasonably understandable for us. Why we attempt to understand things? Because we want to do it, to bring it into practice. Because religion in general, and the events like Karbala in a very particular way, is to learn practically, to get involved, to bring it in your own life. We know another important hadith, again from Imam Jafar al-Sadiq alayhi salam. He says, كل يوم عاشوراء وكل أرض كربلاء. What an important and deep hadith. He says, praise be upon him, he says, every month, every single moment of your life, every day is Ashura. And everywhere, wherever you are located, is Karbala. If you're emotionally attached to Ashura, or if you are merely and only emotionally related to Ashura, then for you Karbala is only a place in Iraq. But if you're intellectually connected to Ashura, Karbala is everywhere. Wherever you are, that is the land of Karbala. And you can be yourself a member of either side, either party. You could be Hurr ibn Yazid al-Yaghi, who was following the call of his, in Freudian concept, his it, his pleasure principle, the Yazid, to be the leader, to be the commander, to have access to wealth and power, and blindly follow Yazid. He was the one who shut the water to the tents of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. But what he has done is really important for us and for tonight's discussion. that he opened his eyes. He questioned. He questioned the validity of Yazid's order, the Yazid's position, the Yazid's power, the Yazid's order. And he tried to question all the situations that he were in. Because of these questions, he could shed more lights into darknesses related to Yazid. Yazid was hidden himself behind the Prophet. He was the Caliphate, wasn't he? Then he was hiding behind the Prophet. And he was calling the brutal attack to Imam Hussein jihad, a holy war. And he among his armies and among his followers and companions was even great names of the companions of the Prophet. So this is a very structural, pure fighting, and Yazid is in the possession of Caliphate. He can fight by the name of God and by the name of the Prophet to anyone, and he did it. And one of the names for the hostage of the Imam Hussein's household, when they were taken as hostage, one of the names was Khariji, the foreigners. The foreigners in terms of ideology, like the non-believers. And you can see the analogy how importantly carefully structured. So Hur questioned the validity of Yazid's order, and then the characteristic of Yazid as Khalifa. And then he started questioning and questioning and questioning. And then he tried to find answers for those questions. The process of raising question is where the intellectual engagement begins. It is not important in the starting point to look for the answers, for the right answer. It is raising the right question. Raising the right question is more important than finding the right answer. Because it is the question that opens up more possibility of thinking, more possibility of seeing, more possibility of connecting ourselves to the areas and the things that we haven't been connected yet. And so Hur ibn Yazid, he questioned, and then when he tried to find the answers, he found the answer that Yazid is the wrong side of the history. And then he wanted to deal with temptation of power and then his fate as a Muslim, as a true believer, to fight this temptation, this, in a Freudian term, this it, the calling of it over it, the pleasure principle. So he actually gave away all his power, his possession, and he stood up against Yazid, and he came to Imam Hussein's army, and he was murdered. So I think in our age and in our position, in the sort of superiority of emotional relation to Imam Hussein, only emotional relation to Imam Hussein's, the superiority of the organized mourning movement, it is very, very challenging and difficult to be intellectually engaged with Imam Hussein's revolution. It is a kind of going through what Hurr ibn Yazid he went through. But I believe deeply that the true lovers of Imam Hussein in this age and this time, I'm talking to young brothers and sisters, it is to be Hurr ibn Yazid Riyahi. It is to leave the possession of power and wealth for the sake of the love of Imam Hussein, for the sake of the love of God, for the sake of trying to be a true Muslim, a true followers of Imam Hussein. So for this purpose, we begin to bring a revolutionized change in our approach to Ashoura. It doesn't mean absolutely that there's no emotion in our intellectual approach to Imam Hussein. We, as I mentioned many times in my lectures, that in our intellectual response to Imam Hussein's revolution, we are terribly damaged with what has been going on in Karbala, to what has been done to Imam Hussein. When we are absolutely emotionally engaged with him, and we are mourning for the rest of our lives. But we are not remaining in the mourning only. We're bringing this mourning into us. We internalize this mourning and make it part of ourselves. We mourn with action. We're not mourning only with emotion. We mourn with our action. And that's how we mourn in the intellectual approach to Imam Hussein's revolution. وآخر دعوانا أن الحمد لله رب العالمين والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.